Hello, media darling Chick McGee here from the Bob and Tom Show, and you're listening to Eastern Kentucky's premier sports show, The Sports Guys.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to The Sports Guys, presented by Appalachian Wireless. I'm Andrew Joyce, your host, and a full slate on the menu tonight. Of course, we'll get a complete recap of last week's high school football action. We'll take a look at the week ahead. We'll talk about the World Series. The matchup is set and gets started Wednesday. Also, a little NASCAR. We'll take a look back at Talladega and Dale Jr. finishing second for the second time. The NFL, Peyton's return to Indy, and quite a reception for him, except on the field. College football's first BCS standings. The University of Pikeville wrapping up a win over the weekend. We'll check back in there as well. And high school soccer and volleyball postseason is underway. We've got a lot to talk about. Also, some trade rumors from Major League Baseball. We'll discuss that. Who knows? We may even have a post-game handshake tonight on air. That's right. We'll line up the behind the camera guys and in front of the camera guys, and we'll have a post-game handshake. I think that would be fitting. The Sports Guys presented by Appalachian Wireless. We'll get things started as we always do, and we'll start first with Jeremy Bell.
How you doing?
Good morning. Good evening.
Good evening to you.
Feels like morning.
Yeah, it does. It's kind of depressing when you go to work in the dark and you go home in the dark.
You got it. You got it.
So we're watching some NFL over the weekend, and a couple of things that I noticed. One, I just was really impressed. Didn't know what kind of reception Peyton would get going back to Indianapolis last night, and hats off to that crowd. I think that it was well deserved, and he earned that.
Sure.
And,
well, there was no reason for any other type of response.
Well, I was curious because Jim Irsay, the owner that likes to shoot off at the mouth, and he
fans typically don't follow.
Well, I would hope that's what I was hoping, that they wouldn't follow the owner's lead on this one. That they would kind of put that aside, but they took up for Peyton Manning, and I thought that was great. But now I saw something that went by my Twitter today, and I couldn't believe it. And it's a trivia question. So if you want it now, we'll give it. If you want it later on. It said, name the quarterback that has the most passing yards through his first 100 games started. And I was completely shocked. And it's nobody you'd ever think.
Wow.
So
well,
that's
Peyton
a question that
has the most yardage through, 7 games to start the season. 100 games, that's 8 seasons or so, 9 seasons, something like that.
Yeah. I was really shocked.
Current
He's current.
Current quarterback.
Current quarterback.
Through 100 games. We'll play with
100
that.
100 games. Yeah,
we'll play with that. We'll work on that. Make sure we hit that before we wap things up.
Yeah.
Jeremy Bell, high school football finishing what they started.
Yeah, they did. Somewhat, I guess. They about tried to give it away at the end.
It's about wins and losses,
But,
baby.
they got to win in
Don't
the column.
critique
That's
too
all that
harshly.
matters.
You've been spending too much time with Ronnie Paul Newsom. He can take a perfect season and make it feel like a rain cloud.
No, between that and sitting in Joe's seat, that it kind of warps with your mind.
We may need to move you.
Yeah.
We may need to move you.
Musical chairs.
Too much negative energy. That's what it is. How's your Buccaneers, by the way?
Well, they struggled again.
Yes.
Actually, I was supposed to be there and canceled it. I was supposed to be in Atlanta for that game this
Right.
weekend. I had to cancel because I had too much going on. And good thing I didn't go. I went last year and they won, so last game of the season. But this year they weren't so lucky. So.
All right. Have your World Series prediction ready. We'll talk about that in a bit.
All right.
Jeremy Bell. Ladies and gentlemen, the Duke of Drift, Jamie Johnson.
World Series, Adam Wainwright, game 1.
Yes.
And then one of our favorites, the rookie, Michael Waka.
Yes.
Waka. Coming up in game 2. John Lester in game 1 for Boston.
Right.
I know you wanted Detroit.
I did.
And I'm sorry. We talked about it on Sports Guys Daily. You just going to have to bear with it for another week or so.
It will be a series that I will watch. I will watch intently, rooting against the Cardinals.
There you go.
There you please.
Plenty of room on the bandwagon.
And I can't jump on the bandwagon. Boston is the American League opponent who happens to be facing the Cardinals. I told you last week on Sports Guys Daily, I'm not a fan of either of these teams. I like what Boston has done this year. I think they've taken on a very gritty character, and I like that style, but that's 1 year. And for me to jump on a bandwagon with both feet, it's got to be more than 1 year, and I just can't get past that. I really wanted the Tigers to win, and their manager announcing today he won't be back. And he's one of my favorites. I think he's one of the top managers in all of Major League Baseball, so we'll talk about that as well.
Is Jim Leyland a Hall of Famer?
Yeah.
He is barely above 500.
Yeah.
His overall record, 1,769, 1,728.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, now he was at Pittsburgh for a while.
Long
He even
time.
he was exiled to Colorado. Every season, though, with Detroit, above 500, 705, 97, and 8 years
Right.
with Detroit. We talked about on Sports Guys Daily today. Is Jim Leyland a Hall of Famer?
Yeah.
Because he is 15th on the all-time list of managerial wins. If you go by percentages, Dusty Baker has a better
Exactly.
percentage than Jim Leyland. And I think if you and I just didn't look at those stats,
Right.
and we're looking at Leyland in the left hand and Baker in the right, we're calling in the lefty every time.
Exactly.
In terms of that. So
Yeah.
it ain't always about wins and losses.
It's not, and I think it's Major League Baseball, the regular season, typically takes care of itself. I really don't think a manager matters outside of 10 games during the regular season. I think 152 games a year, the manager does not matter. I think you could take any 12-year-old who watches Major League Baseball regularly, they can fill out a lineup card. Dusty Baker, I'm not sure did that properly.
Maybe not.
But I think you can take any 12-year-old who follows closely that particular team, they can fill out a lineup card. They can tell when a pitcher's gassed and needs to go. They can manage that part of the game. I think about 10 games a year, a manager makes a difference.
And, Leyland was a guy who would do things in the postseason differently.
That's where management comes more into play, I think, in the postseason.
But sometimes it worked and sometimes it didn't.
Sure.
Even this past weekend, you got Scherzer in and he's doing pretty good, and you take him out, and what happens?
Yeah.
You're announcing your retirement on Monday.
Yeah.
And even before that, I remember in the Red Series in 1990, in Game 6, he had Zane Smith. Who remembers Zane Smith?
I remember him.
They acquired him in a trade from Atlanta that year because Atlanta was terrible.
Yeah.
He was a pretty good left-handed pitcher.
Right.
They put him in the bullpen and started Ted Power
Yes.
that year. And had Bob walk and wouldn't start him, he's now in the broadcasting booth.
Yeah.
Started Ted Power just to make Lou Piniella change his lineup a little bit. He didn't bite on it.
Right.
Reds win that game. They end up bringing Smith in out of the bullpen after a couple innings of Power, just trying to do something different. Pirates at home that year. But at least he took chances.
Exactly. Yeah. There are a couple of pitchers that you just mentioned that strike fear into an opponent. Ted Power and Bob Walk, who typically his name personified his game.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. But aren't those two great pitchers' names, Power and Walk?
Great pitching name.
They're great pitchers' names.
Bob Walk was probably still today a favorite amongst Pirate fans.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
For years
and
years.
he was consistent. He wasn't terrible. I'm making fun of the name a little bit. But Leyland retires. He's one of my favorites. I think he was a tremendous manager in spite of the record. I think postseason management makes a difference in Major League Baseball, in the World Series, in the Division Series, the Championship Series. And I think Jim Leyland was one of those guys that could manage a team, and he typically made the right moves. Now, did any manager always make the right moves?
No.
I don't think you can say that about some of the greats of the game. Who would you list as your top 5 great managers?
Oh, gosh, I have no clue.
That's catching you off guard.
That is catching
Sparky
me off
Anderson
guard.
is one of mine. Is one of mine.
He's on there, definitely.
Part of that because of the talent he had around him. Mm-hmm. But Sparky got the team to play. He kept chemistry. And I think that made him successful. And also he did it in the American League with Detroit as well. But Sparky, one of the best. Billy Martin, people hate him. Billy Martin's a great manager.
Oh, gosh,
He is a great manager. He would take up for his players. There's a couple. Think about that. We'll touch on that maybe a little later.
Good question.
Jim Williamson? welcome in. He is the stinking genius
I
of
don't
the
know the
sports
way I'm
guys.
picking. I think we'll just stop with the stinking part.
Yeah.
Leave the genius part
Picking
off of it.
high school football games is not easy.
Man, apparently not.
If you compare scores, even teams that we see these teams, and we see how they play one week, and we see another week, and you see what a couple of turnovers can do, and the mental toughness of a high school football player is very unstable. A couple of turnovers, you can see a team completely deflate. You see it on the NFL level. You see it on the college level. But high school, you see it even more so. How a team, if they get behind, can just disappear. Or a couple of turnovers. We've seen it this year. We've seen teams with big leads going into the second half have a couple of turnovers, some adversity, and that team typically, you say fatigue or whatever, but you see teams fall apart. That's high school football. It's high school football. We're not pointing fingers at any particular team, but it's tough to pick high school games.
It is tough. And for my baseball input, Cincinnati's manager wish list for me has one name.
Yes.
That's Leland. I don't think he'll take it.
No.
But that's who I'd want.
He's not going to.
I know he's retiring, but that's who I'd go after.
We don't know that. We've heard
But
that story before.
He said today in the press conference,
won't
and I
be in
will
the
read
dugout
it.
anymore.
I'll read it verbatim. I'm not totally retiring. I just don't want to be in the dugout anymore.
Right.
That's pretty clear to me that he's
Yeah.
not going to. He is going to go get a cush job in the front office for Detroit.
Do you know what Jim Leland is wanting out of the dugout?
He can smoke as much as he wants upstairs. I know where you're going with that.
Too many cameras.
Keith Hernandez used to do it in the dugout. I've seen him.
Exactly. Dave Parker did it at Riverfront.
Yeah, went a few
he
steps
did it
down
everywhere.
and left away.
Jim Leland used to be able to do it in the dugout. And there are too many cameras around now. He has to walk all the way back to the clubhouse to get a smoke. And the man is a chain smoker. He'll smoke 3 packs a game. That's why Leland's retiring. There are too many cameras catching him smoking, and he gets fined every time they catch him.
Oh.
Yeah, it cost him money to manage. So he can go up to the press level and sit in an executive's booth and smoke all the reds he wants and smoke them down to the nub, and nobody's going to fine him. He'll make more money. They pay him $10 a game. He'll make more money because he won't be paying the fines. There you go. Jim Leland, he likes to smoke. But I think he probably is retired.
Yeah, I think so.
68, 70 years old.
I don't have that. 68 years old.
Yeah, 68 years old.
Have you ever seen a more competitive manager, though?
He is.
I mean, it's kind of like the
Aggressive.
Billy Martin mode.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's why I wouldn't necessarily shut the door on him.
Yeah.
You know, give him
Hard to get
a
out of
month
that.
or two to stew on that semi-retirement
Yes.
thing.
Yeah, and it's easy for us to sit and say, well, you know, what a job. But you think about the travel. He's traveling 81 games a year. He's somewhere out of town.
Yeah.
You know, 81 games, he's home. But on airplanes, odd hours, red-eye flights, and late night, you know, at some point, you've got to enjoy life, and you've got to enjoy the spoils of life. 68 years old, is that it for Jim Leland? You know, he could still be around the game, possibly MLB Network, ESPN. I can see him on some of these shows and being tremendous with the insight that he provides. And he doesn't have to be in the dugout. When they go to a commercial break, he can go catch a smoke. You know? ESPN, I guarantee they'll have a smoking area for him very close. They've got a spitting area for John Kruk.
Yeah.
You know? So, you know, Leland, he could have a better life. And who can blame him? Because, I mean, every decision second-guessed in the media when you're a Major League Baseball manager. Stinking Genius, NASCAR, Talladega. Dale Jr. had a shot.
Had a shot, and obviously 20/20 hindsight, he waited too long.
Yeah.
I think he could have gone whenever he wanted to. But, you know, they hadn't had the big one all day. Kind of a boring race, to be honest with you.
Exactly.
And he's waiting until the final lap to make a move, and it got made for him. And I'm surprised they waived the caution on that. Now, I know Dylan spun around in front of the field 2 or 3 times, but it was the back of the pack. And I've seen him go through a lot worse than that and let it go.
Right.
So I was kind of, and especially with Junior in second, why not let it go?
Right.
But
Well, I think the thing is, they were all in single file. Even they took the white flag, 15 or 16 cars single file, and that's usually something you don't see
Right.
at one of the restrictor plate tracks. And Dylan was running third, and then flipped and then hit Mears. And Mears was probably in that teens area. But you're right, the whole field went by him.
Yeah.
And then they waved the caution. The whole field had already went by. They could have let him go on.
He drove off.
But they're not going to do that because the rule is on a white flag, and a caution comes out, the race is over.
It's over,
and the field is frozen. And then you saw an example of it right there.
Right. Well, if they hadn't thrown the yellow, then there would have been folks screaming favoritism to Dale Jr. today.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's true.
Well, who knows if he would have won the race, but just to give him a shot to win the race, there would have been favoritism screamed all
No
day.
attempt, and that's
So I hate to see that a guy that did have a shot, maybe looking for that last lap pass, doesn't get a shot at it because of a caution. So especially it'd been such a boring race, as you said.
And he closed up right about the time it broke loose.
Yeah.
But
So maybe waited too late. It's the story of many of our lives. The stinking genius, Jim Williamson, right there. He is the Hall of Famer, ladies and gentlemen, Frosty Davis.
Well, of course, the World Series coming up, and in honor of you, boss, I came up with a few one World Series trivia question I'll throw out here in just a minute. But, we've talked about how football, baseball, basketball, how the sports have changed over the years.
Sure.
Back in 1876.
Okay.
When they were first started playing baseball, pitchers bound 45 feet, 9 3/4 inches.
Right.
Okay. You pitched from a 6-foot square, and you had to pitch underhand.
Uh-huh.
The batter can request a high or a low pitch.
Sure.
And it's only a strike if the batter swings and misses.
Right.
Okay. Foul balls, you were out if you caught a foul ball on the fly or after the first bounce.
Yeah.
You were still out. And here's the great one. And you used to umpire some ball games. If an umpire is able to see where their catch has been fairly made, he may confer with spectators and players.
Oh, yeah.
Now, how would that work out today? But that's baseball for you in 1876, just to show you a little bit about how much the game has evolved.
I like it. Yeah, and we think about, okay, how about a Yankees-Red Sox series, and you've got a questionable fly ball catch or trap. Mm-hmm. Yeah, walk over to the third base line, start talking to some of those fans. What do you think? Was it a catch? Yeah. Go talk to the Yankee players. What do you think? Was it a catch or not? Yeah. Oh, somebody gets shot.
Yeah.
Somebody gets shot in that situation. Unbelievable. Some of the rules.
I thought that was really interesting. And watching a little bit of the Alabama game the other night late, and they just really impressed me. They bring in like their fourth-string tailback, and he's like 6'3", 220, and he runs one of those Jeremy Bell 40 times, 4.26 or something like that.
Sure.
But we've talked about how defense wins championships.
Absolutely.
Since 2009, Alabama as a team has given up 77 touchdowns.
Right.
That leads the nation.
Since when?
Since 2009.
Okay. 4 years.
77 total. The team that's second.
Yes.
Care to guess about where they are?
Oh, a defensive team that's given up fewer touchdowns.
Not who they are, but how many they've given up. It's in the 120s. There's
120s.
That big a difference.
Who is it? Do you know?
I couldn't remember, number two, but it's around 124, 125.
Wow.
And that just shows you, the success that Alabama's had, and that's obviously a big part of it.
It's one of the objectives of the game: score more points than the other team. If you hold the other team to fewer points, then obviously you've got an advantage.
If you watched Auburn, Texas A&M, you'll know why that didn't work for everybody.
Yeah, they become shootouts.
It's I think that we beat this to death with high scoring games and everything, but a coach. You really should spend some time on defense and practice. Yeah. And if I'm coaching these days, I'm spending over half my practice on defense. Not always the popular thing to do,
right?
But if you want to win some games,
nobody else
does. Something we may touch on a little bit later is that defensive argument, and where are the most talented athletes going when they go to a major college? Are you going to give me a chance to play wide out or defensive back?
Right.
Are you going to let me be a running back or a safety? A lot of the top recruits, there are some defensive guys that are top recruits, but how many times do you hear about a top 10 player in the country who's a defensive back? A lot of times they're converted receivers.
Very rare.
And most of the top players, the recruits, are offensive guys. And they go to Alabama and they say, I'll come, but I'm staying on the offensive side. I don't want to be converted to a defensive end or a linebacker or a safety or a defensive back. I don't want to be that. I want to play offense. They get that commitment.
And you could probably think of a couple, Deion Sanders, Champ Bailey,
sure.
In the past, but you could name oodles and oodles of wideouts.
Absolutely.
And then lastly, got a little trivia. I'm gonna throw you a soft toss, one easy one, and then
45-footer from underhand, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Who has the most World Series home runs in the history of the World Series? That's your soft toss.
Yes.
Oh, I know
Okay.
it.
Now here's one that's a little tougher.
I knew you would.
What player played for 3 different teams in the World Series on 3 consecutive years?
Wow.
And I'll give you a little hint. He played in '86. He played for the Red Sox.
Yes.
And that's a tough one.
3 consecutive years.
3 consecutive years on 3 different teams played in the World Series.
Okay.
And some great college football over the weekend. A couple of upsets. How about that?
Yeah.
A little bit of a crazy weekend, and those upsets taking place just before the first BCS standings were released. And Alabama still at number 1. Who has the best shot to beat Alabama?
Oregon, yeah.
You really think
Yeah.
so? You really think so?
Best chance.
I mean, the best chance. I'm not saying they will. I don't think they
I'm
will.
going to go Florida State right now.
No, I
You think Florida
Oregon.
State has a shot to beat Alabama?
I don't have that. No, you said who has the best shot.
Okay.
I don't think anybody has the best shot.
No.
Maybe the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah.
It depends on if Romo's there in the fourth quarter or not. And I'm a Romo fan. Alabama, I don't see Alabama being beaten.
No.
Possibly Auburn. They play Auburn on the road, right?
I think so.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
is at Auburn.
I think they play at
Towards
Auburn.
the end of the year.
And that rivalry played at Auburn. I don't care what's on the line. That is a game that I think that's probably Thanksgiving weekend.
Between the hedges, isn't it?
And should be interesting. Alabama number 1, Florida State all the way to number 2 in the BCS standings. Wore out Clemson, absolutely wore out Clemson. And how much is that a true indicator of how good Florida State is?
We'll find out.
Well, what about the freshman quarterback they got? Winston,
Yeah.
is that
Winston,
his name?
Yeah.
And we all, everybody was all excited about Manziel last year.
Right.
I think he's having a better year than what
Yeah, I
Manziel
agree.
did last year.
Yeah.
And here's the surprising thing: the kid might not even end up going to the NFL. He might go to Major League Baseball because he's an outstanding baseball player, from what I understand. And that might be his sport.
Let me ask you this. If you have a shot to go to the NFL or Major League Baseball as a high draft pick, number 1, first round pick, Major League Baseball draft.
Are you asking me, knowing what I know at my age or when I was their age? At their age, I would have went football. Knowing what I know now, baseball.
I don't know that.
Not going to abuse the body as much, but wow, to have those options.
Yeah.
But you were talking about the upsets, and this is the life of a Kentucky football fan. Okay?
Yes.
And it just
Watching everybody else.
didn't faze me at all.
Right.
4 big upsets just in the SEC alone.
Right.
Vanderbilt. And you'll have to help me with the other ones, but big upsets, not just small games. Tennessee, over South Carolina.
South Carolina, yeah.
So here's the one week that everybody in the SEC gets upset.
Right.
In Kentucky, where are they? It's their off.
The house.
It is.
So
And who's getting stronger
no-
right now?
no shot.
Missouri, who Kentucky has yet to play.
Right.
Tennessee, who Kentucky has yet to play.
Yes.
And Vanderbilt.
Yes.
And
Kentucky's yet to
those
play.
were 3 that people thought possible wins. You can throw that out. Now Mississippi State, and that's this Thursday night.
That's
Right.
it.
That's about your last shot.
Missouri's got to walk. They got Tennessee, UK,
Missouri's good.
Ole Miss,
Very good.
and then A&M.
Yes.
And you don't know about Manziel by then either. But Missouri has an easy walk to be undefeated. South Carolina had their inside track. Now with 2 losses, they're not going to be in the SEC.
I hate
game.
that. I hate that.
Oh,
for
I
them.
do too. I just
that's
hate
I
it.
just
Isn't
hate
that
that.
awful?
for
And then, of course,
Coach
Florida.
Spurrier.
But then LSU with 2 losses now.
Yeah.
If you were listening to the radio on Saturday, I was listening to some of the scoreboard stuff on Saturday on ESPN, and they were all LSU's best one-loss team, best one-loss team. Well, now are they the best 2-loss team? I mean, they just took themselves out of the contention. And who loves this more than anybody?
Yeah.
The people in the Pac-12,
Sure.
and the Big Ten,
Sure.
and everywhere else, because you're not going to have 2 SEC teams
Florida State.
going at each other in the final. It's not going to happen this time, and everybody else loves it.
Yeah.
Got to beat Alabama.
Yeah, you still have to beat Alabama once you get there, should Alabama be in the title game. But, they love it because the SEC beating up on the SEC. And it's still the best conference in all of college football. Oregon 3rd, Ohio State 4th, Missouri up to number 5 in the BCS standings, 6 through 10, Stanford, Miami, Baylor, Clemson, and Texas Tech. Any arguments with that top 10?
Not right now. I know people are talking about Ohio State. They can't get any further up the ladder, I don't think, barring the Florida States of the world or Stanford's or Oregon's falling down because their schedule doesn't help them any. I mean, Michigan, all the thing Michigan had to do was stay undefeated.
Yes.
So Ohio State could beat them so they could get their way up, and then they get slaughtered by Alabama.
Right.
And Michigan couldn't even do that.
Right.
So Ohio State doesn't have any kind of win to hang its hat on down the stretch unless you're talking about Northwestern, and that's not going to carry any weight with posters. And how about Louisville? Louisville Falls, they played themselves right into the Beef O'Brady Bowl Friday night. And I love it. I love it.
But there's a team, Ohio State, that and they don't get any style points either. But you mentioned it, Andrew, when Jeremy was talking about Valley. Urban Meyer, last year they had a bunch of close games and ended up undefeated. They win, but they win barely.
Right.
But they're winning. They're 18-0.
A win is a win.
18-0.
But I think in the standings they're a distant 4th. I mean, could they compete against Florida State, Oregon, and surely not Alabama?
No, that's what I just said. Even if they were to limp up to number 2 based on attrition from the other schools, it would not be a pretty title game. And I'm an Ohio State fan, and it would not be a pretty game.
I don't think they'd put them in there even if they were number 2.
If they're undefeated and Alabama's undefeated and that's all we got, they don't get in. You got a one-loss team like Oregon gets beat by Oregon State, that ranks out because it was a rival. I can't wait for the little playoff. That's all. I really can't wait for the playoff thing because we have this conversation every year.
Yep.
And the playoff is the only thing that's going to alleviate this.
Well, we'll argue then there aren't enough teams. They should have gone 4 more.
Yeah.
Or
but
2
you know
more.
what? I think once people see that it can work and it will be successful, it will expand.
Yes. Yeah, I think so.
Condoleezza Rice will see to that.
Well, and the NCAA sees how much money it's worth. If the NCAA is still around 2 or 3 years from now.
But what's going to be more interesting? Expanding that point. Let's just go ahead and assume that it's a hit. That it's a TV ratings hit. It's going to be. Let's just assume that. I think it's a safe assumption. Is it better than having the up-team bowls we have all through the month of December and Marshall's playing Nicholas State and the Little Caesars Bowl in Detroit on a Wednesday night? Who cares?
You'll still have those too, though.
But those games, they're giving tickets away. Schools lose money playing those games.
Yeah.
Playing those minor games. Take away that stuff and make a true playoff system. Give us 16 teams. Let's roll at it for a few weeks.
16 would be a good number.
Yes.
Let me ask you something, Andrew. What do you think about Friday night college football?
I think it's a terrible idea because it's a high school football night.
That's right.
And the NFL going to Thursday nights, okay, you're going to capitalize on another audience. It's a way for the NFL network to get more subscribers. If you offer a game, that's the only place you can get. And that's all about money, is moving to that Thursday night game. The Sunday night game, Monday night game, we'll have a Wednesday night game as soon as the Players Association lets it happen.
There's talk of a Tuesday night game.
Yeah, guarantee it.
Oh, good. And you talk about sloppy football. Do away with the Thursday football. Sunday night, I like the Sunday night game because maybe you didn't get to see the Sunday afternoon games.
Sure.
And you can sit in on Sunday evening when things settle down and catch up on what happened and probably watch a pretty good game.
Right.
Because NBC does get their pick.
Yes.
And Monday night, ESPN waits till the second half of the schedule to dictate which game they want down the stretch. That's why you're seeing Vikings and Giants tonight combined 1-10.
Yes.
On Monday Night Football.
Right. By the way.
Yeah, but that's smart on ESPN's part to wait till the latter half of the schedule so they can pick a game that really does mean something.
Sure.
Because they only, as all the ESPN coverage you get of NFL football, they only give you one NFL game a week.
Right.
For all the talk and all the shows. And they keep adding shows because Fox Sports has their own daily football show now at 6. What does ESPN do? We got to have another one. Colin Cowherd's got to talk football for an hour.
Yes.
Put him in there.
Football with Regis.
East Kentucky Broadcasting's got their own hourly show now.
Yeah, but we don't talk all football.
We don't talk
well,
all
no, that's
football.
true, but-
And we ain't even got any competition.
Well, the thing about it is East Kentucky Broadcasting, we stay actually with sports that are in season, whereas the ESPN radio and ESPN spending a lot of time on the NBA. Has regular season even started?
No, not
You got
till
Major League
next week.
Baseball playoffs going on, college football, BCS standings. You've got the NFL in the midst of a season, and you still have ESPN committing so much time to the NBA that's not even in regular season. Stop it. Stop it.
But the
give us the
NFL
sports that are in season.
But the NFL lends itself to more of the soap opera side of sports than what baseball does right now. Baseball, for all of us who enjoy the game of baseball, we've enjoyed this postseason, minus the Reds getting beat. But nevertheless, you've seen some great games. But does that create the kind of soap opera that ESPN can fill up a day of programming with? No. They can eat up a day of programming with diarrhea at the mouth Jim Irsay and talking to Peyton Manning and having this big video tribute. Peyton don't care about that.
No.
He was worried about winning that football game,
Yeah.
And what happened?
Yeah, he didn't. You talk about Sunday Night Football being a good idea, and I have to question whether it is. The top-rated show on television right now, not sports show in particular, the top-rated show in television right now. Do you know what it is?
You mean in cable or
Television.
you talking about Duck Dynasty?
No.
It's got to be CSI.
No.
Something. No.
60 minutes.
No. Sunday nights,
Sunday Night Football?
Walking Dead.
Oh, a zombie show?
The Zombie Show is the top-rated
goodness.
show in television right now. It's up against the second half of Sunday Night Football.
Wow.
Imagine that. So, is it a good idea, or are there just some desperate housewives watching The Walking Dead? I don't know. But
Why?
interesting when I saw those ratings that Sunday Night Football is getting hammered by a bunch of zombies.
Yeah, but now here's the thing that sports has over any kind of television show.
Yes.
It's the only thing that most of us can't DVR.
Yes.
You can DVR Walking Dead. You can miss it for a couple of days.
Right.
Try to avoid Facebook or avoid a buddy who watches it too and catch up on it, or any show. Yeah, I've watched the Marvel show. What's the new Marvel show?
Marvel Heroes
Agents
or
of
something.
S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah.
I had 3 of those bad boys recorded before
Really?
I ever watched one.
Right.
Spent one day and knocked them out on a Saturday 2 weeks ago.
Right.
Good show. But am I going to do that with sports? No. Sports, and any advertiser will tell you this, sports is the most lucrative television advertising place right now because you don't fast forward through it.
Right.
You're not recording it most times. 7 out of 10 times people ain't recording those.
You can't, because the scores, the updates, the finals,
Your
there
phone's
are
going
too many
offline.
alerts out there.
Yeah.
There are too many alerts out there. Besides avoiding people, and say you're hanging out with people who know you're recording it, and they'll try their best not to give you updates. Still, we are so connected through Twitter, through ESPN score alerts, CBS Sports, Fox Sports, wherever. You're going to get that score before you get a chance to watch a DVR game. And it's just it's something that we do watch live. So
See, they didn't have to worry about that when they were tossing it underhand from 45 feet.
that's right. That's right. That's college football, the BCS standings, and college football here at Pikeville this weekend. Homecoming, and the U-Pike Bears get 134 yards rushing from Seth Miller. Nukees Richardson named one of the Mid-South Conference Players of the Week today. He had 2 punt returns for touchdowns. And the Bears beat Bethel 35-24 and improved to 4-3. Next up for the Bears, they'll be on the road at Georgetown, and the Tigers come in last week ranked number 11. They may fall a few spots this week after taking one on the chin. But the Bears at Georgetown this Saturday. Be sure and tune in Tuesday at 6 for the Dudley Hilton Show, where we'll talk to the coach about the win. We'll preview Georgetown, meet a couple of Bears players as well, and then, of course, complete coverage of the Georgetown U-Pike matchup on Saturday. It's a 1:30 kickoff from Toyota Stadium, formerly Rollins Stadium, on the campus of Georgetown College, and great place.
Pretty nice leftovers from the Bengals
Indeed.
now that they're not there anymore.
Indeed. Georgetown, of course, benefited with the stadium and some great housing from the time of the Bengals having camp there. So college football, that's a look at college football. Still to come, we'll talk some NFL. We'll talk some Major League Baseball. We'll also catch you up to date on last week's high school football action and take a look at the week ahead. By the way, how was everyone's picks this week? Yeah. I heard some guys took some big losses.
I tell you what, I need Randy Clark's email or phone number if anybody's got it. I need some help.
The Sports Guys You Pick 'em contest, of course, go to WDHR.com or ESPNPikeville.com. The picks for this week, they are already there. We'll break those down for you in a little bit. And we talked U-Pike football. The Bears improving to 4-3 with a 35-24 win over Bethel University. Just in, the University of Pikeville's Nukees Richardson, who took a pair of punt returns to the house in Saturday's win, has earned him the NAI National Special Teams Player of the Week award. Mm-hmm. Of course, the nominees come from conference play throughout the country, and the junior had a season-long 76-yard punt return and a 44-yarder. And Richardson is among the national leaders in punt return yards, second in the nation, and ninth in the country in total return yards. Of course, Richardson, a four-star recruit out of high school, ranked among the top 15 wide receivers in the class of 2009, according to Scouts, Rivals, and ESPN. He's a transfer from the University of Tennessee, and Nukees Richardson, National Special Teams Player of the Week for the U-Pike Bears, and certainly newsworthy to mention that. Major League Baseball, we touched on it at the start of the show. The World Series matchups are set, and in honor of the World Series, Jeremy Bell is going all the way back to 1990. That's right. And the Reds World Championship. He's got the speckled one, bobblehead, little Sabo on set now. He's your guy.
Oh, that's my guy. Always
Chris Sabo.
Been. Yes, sir.
He was a fan favorite amongst many youngsters and during his time. And had a chance to meet Sabo, I guess 6-7 years ago.
Oh, man. Wish I was there with you.
He was at Great American Ballpark then, and very cordial.
Mm-hmm. Like the old pickup truck he used to drive.
Yeah.
Even with the big contract, about 10, 15-year-old pickup.
Oh, yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
He's the guy that sat in Reds Fest from time to time, too. A couple of years ago, I went to Reds Fest. He was there.
Absolutely.
You can also follow Chris Sabo's Goggles on Twitter.
Yes.
If you really want to.
Well, yes.
Seriously, look it up.
Well, I'm
It's
going to do it
pretty
now.
interesting.
Yeah.
Chris Sabo's Goggles.
Sabo's Goggles. Major League Baseball, the World Series matchup set, Boston and St. Louis. It gets started on Wednesday. And, of course, you'll be able to catch the World Series on Fox. 8:07 start Wednesday night, Game 1, Wainwright versus Lester. In Game 2, it's Buchholz and Waka. And Game 3, Lackey and Kelly, the pitching matchups for those games. Also available in Eastern Kentucky, Southern West Virginia on ESPN Radio. Complete coverage of the World Series, and you can tune in to 95.9, 104.5, and 102.5 FM. Guys, we've got to get predictions on the series. Jeremy Bell?
Well, I thought about it ever since you said it, and I just think the Cardinals got too much pitching. I think that Waka and Wainwright are just too much, and I think the Red Sox got pretty fortunate with the 2 grand slams, because if not for those, we're talking about the Tigers right now.
What's wrong with clutch hitting?
Well, there's nothing wrong with it, but
Hang
I
on.
mean, they just...
The Cardinals pitching. What did the Tigers have going for them?
They had pitching going for them.
Yeah.
But
Verlander?
But not as...
Scherzer?
Verlander was ace in the hole.
Yeah.
But now, Scherzer was,
Yeah, but
Sanchez
look at what
was-
Scherzer did all year. I mean,
Oh,
I
yeah.
mean, if you're going to compare pitchers, and maybe St. Louis pitchers right now a little
Well,
hotter.
that's what I'm looking at,
Than
yeah.
Detroit's
That's
were,
what I'm looking at.
at this time of year. But I'm not sure this comes down to a pitching matchup.
I don't know. If I think it goes 6 or 7, I'll take the Cardinals.
Yeah.
Yep, that's who I'm going
All
with.
right.
So,
Who has home field advantage?
St. Louis.
No.
No.
Oh, no, that is right. No, Boston.
Do you
does.
not watch baseball?
Well,
Bud
I
Seeley
forgot
gave you
about
that one, big
That's
boy.
right. That's right.
You've got 4 played at Fenway.
Yeah. I'm still going with Cardinals.
You're going with the Cardinals?
Yep.
Okay. I'm not going to try to sway you. I'm bringing some points
I forgot the American League won the All-Star game.
There you go. Jamie Johnson, I know who you root for.
Yeah.
Do you feel like they will win this series?
Why wouldn't I? I mean, you got great timely hitting.
Right.
You still got Pedroia. You know, I mean, Shane Victorino in that slam the other night.
Right.
Brought me out off the couch.
No,
Mike Napoli. I mean, Nap Nation, come alive. I mean,
You mean something besides a ham sandwich brought you off the couch?
Bologna. I'm a bologna guy.
All right.
Bologna guy.
right.
For the record, I'm a bologna guy. Anyway, fried bologna.
There you go.
Only thing better than bologna is fried bologna.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Now, this is the first time since 1999 where the two best teams,
Right.
record-wise,
Sure.
meet in the World Series.
Right.
1999, Yankees blitzed the Braves 4-0 that year. Fast forward to here, a lot of similarities in these teams. You look at runs scored per game. Both teams ranked first in their respective league.
Right.
Runs allowed per game, Boston 6th, St. Louis 5th. Okay?
Right.
Very similar numbers.
Sure.
Batting average, both teams 2nd. On base, both teams 1st. Slugging, Boston 1st, St. Louis 3rd. A lot of great similarities between these two teams. It's going to be a 7-game World Series. I'm going to go with Boston.
Yeah. And that's the team that you root for as well. So
Well, I told you that last week. I couldn't
Yeah.
make a fair pick, but I'm just, even by the stats, I mean, they look very, stat-wise, just
Yeah.
looking at tail of the tape, it's going to be an even series.
there's not a clear-cut favorite in
No.
this series, I don't believe. And I think home field advantage plays a part. Boston, the first two at Fenway, and St. Louis has to get one of those.
They have, especially
They have
one
to
of
get
the first two.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I really believe that. And I look for this series to go deep as well. Jim Williamson?
I'm not a fan of either team, to be
Right.
honest with you. Of course, if you're a Reds fan, you don't like St. Louis, and ESPN saturates us with Boston and the Yankees. But I'm going to say the Cardinals in 6.
Really?
Yep. Momentum, Andrew. And I know both of them's got it, but St. Louis just walked through the playoffs to me. I think they take it in 6.
Yeah. Didn't have a lot of competition.
No.
They played around with Los Angeles a little bit at times, and and they've been down for a few days.
Sure.
I always think that plays a part. When
I
a
think it
team
does,
has
too.
to have a lull, and the other one's just firing off cylinders and been in this heated series, I always say that carries on.
Sure, I think so too. Got to back up to Jamie Johnson, Red Sox fan. The Red Sox have taken on the persona of Duck Dynasty this year.
Got
with
the beard.
The beard's in the dugout. I'm just curious. You being a Red Sox fan, you've got a little growth going on right now. I'm just curious. Is it tied to the Red Sox win? Are you going to continue to grow the beard through the series?
Hey,
As a true Red Sox fan, I think you must. I don't think you can play around with this.
Gosh, that'd be hitting.
Because if you were to shave at this point,
Hey, I got more hair on my chin than you do on your head.
Easy.
you could break all momentum that the Sox have by you shaving.
A true baseball purist
Sure.
will not break any superstition.
But between the Red Sox playing in the World Series and no shave November, I'm going to have to let it go.
Yeah,
I'm not going to fool around with it.
No shave.
Can't mess with this.
right.
Can't
Been
mess
doing
around
shit
with
commercials or something.
it. By the way,
Razor blades.
No, Boston.
No, they're
in
something
Boston,
with
it's
that.
Gillette.
Yeah,
It's Gillette, by the way.
Vegas has St. Louis as the underdog.
Yes.
I did look that up while we were talking.
And the bookies know something. I'm telling you guys. There are some crazy spreads from time to time, and the Vegas they got their game going on. All right, we'll see Jamie Johnson next week, and we'll see how the beard grows. If they win, I'm hearing that the Sox have proclaimed that they won't shave till spring training.
Ooh, really?
That's what I hear.
That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah.
Oh, that'd be great.
There you go. Frosty Davis, World Series. Make your pick.
Jamie made a good point. Both teams 97 and 65.
Yeah.
Regular season best records in baseball. So whoever wins the series will have the best record as well.
Yes.
So that doesn't happen a whole lot. I like Bill's point about the pitching. Both teams have good pitching.
Sure.
But, when you've got good starting pitching and you get in those late innings and you've got a 1-0, 2-1 game, what generally happens if you get a man on and the pitcher comes up, where he's on deck,
Right.
it's time for the bullpen to step
Sure.
up. St. Louis in the postseason, their ERA from their bullpen is 1.80. That's pretty darn good. Boston's is 8-4.
Yes.
Boston's bullpen. So when you got pitching like that, Cardinals turn double plays, Red Sox hit grand slams. I'm going to go Red Sox in 7.
When you look at these matchups, and we're all considering low-scoring games, this series may set records for number of runs scored.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just so not typical because you expect low-scoring games in this series. But I can see a team breaking loose and it becoming a slugfest. We'll have games that are 9-7 just because it's not where we're expecting.
Yeah. It could very well happen.
First time since 1969. You mentioned both teams identical records. First time since '69 that two teams with identical records made it.
Right.
And this has only happened 3 times.
Wow.
Now, why didn't ESPN spend time talking about this stuff instead of the soap opera of the NFL?
You know, they had to talk about Jim Irsay, an owner. Yeah. An owner should not be mentioned.
And
it
the
should be
Redskins
against
nickname,
FCC
stuff, Jamie.
Yeah.
It should be against FCC regulations for any sports broadcasting network to talk about an owner during the season. It's about the players. It's about the players. Unless an owner passes away or sells a team, they should be off limits. We don't care about the owners. We want to hear about the players. So there you go. 7 games. 7 games. And as a true Cincinnati Reds fan, I cannot pick St. Louis. I will not pick St. Louis. If St. Louis was a heavy favorite by Vegas, picked to win the series in 4 games, I would not pick St. Louis. The red sweater that I wear tonight is in honor of the Red Sox. I've got to go with Boston in 7 games.
There you go.
As bad as I hate to.
Love it.
I don't hate Boston. I just don't like Boston. They're not my team. But as a Reds fan, I do hate St. Louis. I don't like the Cardinals, and I'll say that right here into the camera. To all you Cardinal fans out there, I do not like your team at all.
Yeah.
Go Sox, baby. I may grow my beard.
Oh, let's just all do it. Come on.
We'll just go. We'll go bearded.
How long
in
have you
honor
been,
of the
Jeremy?
Sox.
Jeremy's got a little stubble on. It's been a week.
Couple
Yeah.
of days.
Okay.
Jeremy hadn't shaved in 3 months.
Yeah.
That's what Jeremy's got going on. Like he last shaved Memorial Day. There you go. Major League Baseball, the World Series starts Wednesday, and of course we'll talk about that. And be sure and tune in. The Sports Guys brand new, The Sports Guys Daily, every evening at 5 on ESPN Radio, 95.9, 102.5, 104.5 FM, Pikeville, Paintsville, Williamson, Belfry. Complete coverage for a solid hour, and you never know who's going to be there. We talked about that last week when we were debuting the show because of other job responsibilities, schedules, and so forth. You never know. Jamie and I have been there a couple of times. Joe Kinzer has been on daily, Chase Ellis as well, and as schedules permit, we'll have other guys on. Who knows? We may have 3 guys, 4 guys even on a Sports Guys Daily, but we've leaned toward, because of schedules so far, a couple of guys can make it and talking sports for a solid hour and very, very topical sports. What's going on that day in the world of sports, and some special guests already lined up that will be a regular feature of the Sports Guys Daily. Teddy Painter from The Medical Leader, covering local sports throughout the region. Great insight with local sports. Teddy's been around a while, and he'll become a regular weekly part of Sports Guys Daily, so you're invited to tune in. And the legend of Logan, West Virginia slides in from the bullpen.
Yes.
Joe Kinzer.
It's late October, which means, you got to go 5-6 outs right now for a save.
A little banged up, can't play the first half.
Right. Couldn't play the first half, but, you got to suck it up. The game on the line, season on the line, you got to come in. No DL right now.
Right. Coming in off a half marathon over the weekend.
Went to Midway last week, and a beautiful little area.
Yeah.
Nice little historical town. Did pretty good. Half marathon is 13.1 miles, and you had to finish in under 3 hours. If you didn't keep a certain amount of pace after 7 miles, they kick you off. They ask you to leave the course.
Right.
So
what if you don't go?
Well, you DNF it, so you stay home.
Why don't you just keep running?
Well, they just.
Are they going to taser you?
No, they don't taser you.
I'm just checking.
Right.
I'm curious because if I want to take up half marathons, I want to know what happens if my time's dragging.
Well,
if I get tasered, I'm not even going to start.
Right. That one has a time limit.
Okay.
So did well, 2:42.
All right.
Personal best. Never done that before.
How many shortcuts did you take?
Not on didn't take no shortcuts on this one. I was getting ready to go through a
cut
barn.
Through a cornfield.
Yeah, cut through a cornfield, cut through a barn, maybe go through a corn maze. But it was beautiful.
Yeah. All right.
Your body can do things on pure adrenaline, because there was a friend of mine from Western Kentucky that I've met a couple of times doing these half marathons, and he said, "Joe, you're improving." I said, "How's that?" I didn't look at my watch. He said, "We've done 3 miles. You're doing a 10-minute pace." I wish he wouldn't have told me that, because I kind of faltered after that a little bit.
You should have kicked it another notch.
I tried, but my legs wouldn't let me. I'm 41.
There you go. It is the Sports Guys presented by Appalachian Wireless. High school football, and of course, we'll back up to last week and take a look at the action from around the region, and of course, our Pick'em contest. I actually gained some ground, I believe.
You did.
I believe I gained a little ground.
I tanked.
I know I had a couple of misses that I really thought were sure things, but also got a couple that some other folks didn't have. So able to gain a little ground. The weekend got started with Pikeville taking on Phelps, and the Panthers get a 50-7 win over the Hornets. Phelps takes a loss, but Phelps will be playing for a home playoff spot this weekend, up for grabs. And the Hornets able to snap a 21-game losing streak a couple of weeks ago, and just a lot of confidence in that program right now. Pikeville wraps up unofficially the top spot in the district, and they're able to wrap up the top spot with a win this coming week. Other action last week, I got to tell you, the guys, I'll be the first to admit, I missed this pick. Allen Central 42-32 over South Floyd. And Jamie Johnson, you were there. The Rebels, we talked about on last week's show. They've had trouble scoring points this year. They put up 42.
They were 29th out of 32 Class A teams in total points scored going into Friday night's game.
Yeah.
So if you're sitting at home and you're making your pick, you would have went with South Floyd.
Sure.
You know, they have Blake Dye. They have a guy that can find a hole. He's a scat back. He can find the end zone. South Floyd jumped up early. They were up 12-0. Allen Central hung around, got a couple touchdowns, stay in the game. South Floyd led at halftime 24-22.
Wow.
And then the second half rolled around, third quarter. Both teams traded turnovers and played to a stalemate. Finally, Allen Central gets a late touchdown in the third. They actually get 3 consecutive scores, and they hold on for the win, 42-32 on senior night, where they had 7 seniors dress and 4 seniors play.
Right.
And some young kids playing in that game. One of them, Stephen Howard, he's a freshman running back, 21 attempts, 27 yards and a touchdown. Good to see that kind of effort. He's a fullback, young guy, small guy for a fullback.
Right.
But low center of gravity and hard to get a hold of. Their senior quarterback, Cameron Hamilton, played well, not looking to throw the ball, but running the ball and keeping the team in it. Also got an interception on defense as well. One of the turnovers that led to a score for Allen Central. And there's not a lot that separates Allen Central, South Floyd, and Phelps.
Right.
Let's just put that out there.
Sure.
They can all beat each other on any given night. And when we get to our predictions, there is a scenario for how it could play out, and I'll explain it.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting, and I think the biggest shock is Allen Central, because against other competition they had trouble scoring and able to get some points on the board. That's the difference in this one, and what becomes a shootout, we see getting a turnover, getting a score, getting some momentum on their side, how quickly a game can turn. Congratulations, the Rebels improved to 2-6. And I guess Allen Central with a shot at a home playoff game.
All 3 of those teams still have an outside. Allen Central has an outside shot of getting a home playoff game. They got to have some help.
Sure.
Phelps controls their own destiny.
Right.
If they lose, they're out. It's that simple for them. If they win, they're in. South Floyd, if they win, there's a scenario, and we'll talk about it.
Yeah. We'll get there, but great win for the Rebels. And anytime a team gets a win on senior night, we always applaud that. Ashland Blazer 35-6 over Greenup County. the Belfry Pirates rolled over Lawrence County. Maybe not the type of score that many would have thought, but the Pirates 35-12 over Lawrence County. Belfry now 8-0 on the season, and they've got a huge game coming up this weekend. But anyone surprised by the score differential in this one?
Not really, because Lawrence County Belfry, and years ago, I mean, it was Lawrence County was whooping up on Belfry, even when Belfry had to get, still have good teams, even when they do have a good team. Lawrence County usually gives Belfry fits every once in a while, but Belfry's got too much depth. Justin Johnson, one of their leading rushers, been out the last couple of games banged up with a shoulder. They just put in, Coach Haywood just puts in senior Devontae Dari. He's had back-to-back 100-yard games.
Right.
Talking to Coach Haywood last week in the pregame interview, pleasantly surprised for being undefeated. He said that these teams had a lot of injuries, and this is the most injuries they've had in over a decade, I believe, and a lot of mistakes. And he said that when the coaches can go in there on Sunday afternoon and laugh and still shake their head that they're undefeated, it's a pretty good season right now.
Absolutely, and they've played some good competition.
Yes, they have.
They've battled injuries. They've played good competition, and a team that's just so deep, so very, very deep, and that's why they are 8-0. Betsy Lane, they improved to 7-1. The Bobcats rolled over Magoffin County 54-14. And Betsy Lane, we've talked about the skill players they have, a team that can put up a bunch of points, and suffering just that one loss of the year, and that coming to Prestonsburg. Magoffin County, I really thought this might have been a little closer game.
I think we all thought it'd be a closer game. And even talking to Coach Parsons during the week at Betsy Lane, he felt this was kind of a trap game for his team, where we got that district win on the road. We got Shelby Valley coming up. Oh, right in the middle, we got Magoffin County, and it is at home, but it was senior night for Betsy Lane. And they wanted to win and win at home, and they do it big. 6 times this season, they have put 47 or more points on the scoreboard. And they've been holding opponents. The most was Prestonsburg with 40 points. But other than that, 14, 12, and they're going to get a chance to earn some street cred, getting a win up at Shelby Valley and getting that second place and hosting a playoff game against the other side of the coin, where you just don't know what to expect from Danville or Middlesboro or Somerset. They've beaten up on each other the entire time.
Right, exactly.
And we all know Lexington Christian will be that number 4 team now, the way it shook out. So Prestonsburg, they're in the driver's seat to win the district, obviously, but a lot to play for coming up on Friday night.
Yeah, absolutely. Another matchup that may have surprised some folks, and Eastridge held a lead in this one. Eastridge and Grundy, and the Golden Wave get a 32-22 win over the Warriors. Homecoming night at Eastridge, and possibly the distractions, a long halftime, and the other team, a visitor, they're not interested in halftime, and they're able to go in and make adjustments and focus on the game. And Grundy comes out in the second half and get a win over Eastridge in that border battle. Great matchup. One of the longest games we've had this year. That was almost 3 hours in length.
And usually, when you put the helmet and the pads on, and you're a visiting team, and you go to someone's site that hosts a homecoming game, you usually get fired up, or we used to get fired up, because first thing coming in our mind was, hey, they don't think we're good. One year, heck, we were homecoming 5 times, but you get that extra. We know where the homecoming dance was my junior year, but you get fired up. There's extra momentum.
You know what I did that game? I picked Grundy on the show.
Yeah.
And went back and
Change
you
your
guys
mind.
talked me into it.
See?
So there you go. Because I've seen both teams.
Sure.
And Grundy can throw the football. And they've got some skilled people. Now, granted, they were small like I was. Well, not now. But they were small. And they could get around and get out in open space and do some damage. And that's why I picked Grundy over Eastridge on the show. And then I'm started thinking, well, I watch Eastridge play too. And they're really good up front. They can run the football. Homecoming, it's at home. I'll go with Eastridge. Of course, I changed the pick.
But now, something else.
It cost me.
That game started, about 30, 40 minutes late because officials hadn't made it there yet. So imagine if you're Grundy, not only have you made the trip, you're waiting 30, 40 minutes to start the game, extra, and they got homecoming.
Right.
And then they still come out and come from behind to win the game. That's off the Grundy.
It's a good thing Walmart and Grundy's open 24 hours.
Hey.
I'll tell you, we got to give credit for Kevin Garris, because he was at my game grading the officials. and he's on the phone. And I'm like, Kevin, what are you doing? He said, I'm trying to find some officials for this Grundy Eastridge game. I don't have any.
Wow.
He said, I'm missing 2 of them. So hats off to him to pull a couple out of the hat and get them there as quick as they did, because he thought it was going to be a lot longer than that,
Right.
because at the time he just had 3 officials.
Yeah.
And you can't cover a football field with 3
tough
officials.
to do. Grundy gets the win. Harlan County 51-6 over Whitley County. Hazard rolled over Jenkins 52-0. In other action from around the region, Johnson Central continues to roll 59-10. Johnson Central now 8-0, and the Eagles heading for a showdown with Belfry coming up to end the season. Both undefeated at this point. Of course, a couple of games this week that could throw a wrench into that undefeated matchup, but they're both headed that direction. Letcher Central, a surprise 22-18 win over Perry County Central. I think a lot of folks missed this one.
Yeah, 97% of the picks were for Perry County in that game, but that just shows you the difference that Mike Holcomb can bring to a football team, and that's one of those wins you expect out of a first-year coach that maybe that has some returning talent.
Sure.
We got to get one. You know, we know we're going to get some of these, but we got to get one. You know what I'm talking about.
Absolutely.
And that was one of those games.
Yeah, absolutely. And first-year coach, you're 7-8 weeks into the season. Guys are starting to become accustomed to the system as well. And sometimes first-year coaches, it takes the first 5 weeks of the season before the terminology is even correct in first-year coaches. So big win for Letcher Central in that one. I've got to throw this one out there because I think it was a little bit of a surprise across the state, and that is Males' 24-14 win over Trinity. And I love to see the highfalutin get knocked off their high horse every now and then. Trinity, I think going into that one, the private school recruiting budget, scholarships, they think they're better than everybody else. They believe that they're one of the top college teams in the Commonwealth, and Male knocks off Trinity, and I just got to say I like it.
Trinity's first loss to a Kentucky school since 2007.
You got it. Middlesboro 42-17 over Danville. We talked about that AA district that just continues to beat up on one another. And the Yellow Jackets get a big win over the Admirals, 42-17. I don't think anyone saw this one coming, at least by the margin that you saw in this one. Middlesboro, they might get a win, but I don't think anybody predicted this type of point spread.
Thought it'd be a close game. I mean, Danville, Somerset, Middlesboro play each other very close usually, and it's usually a toss-up, but I mean, it's just
Middlesboro's got the inside track to that one seat now.
Yes, they do.
So that's, hats off to them.
They'll put points up, but they usually give up points. And told Danville to 17. That's surprising.
You got it. Paintsville rolls over Nicholas County 53-0. Pike Central all over Sheldon Clark 47-7. And Sheldon Clark, just a young team that's taking its licks this year. But a team that's gaining a lot of experience. What can you say? A team that's winless right now. It allows Pike Central to prepare for Belfry. And the Pirates coming off a little tougher matchup with Lawrence County. Pike Central has an easier road with Sheldon Clark. And that matchup, of course, coming up this week should be something to see. Pineville all over Harlan, 50-0. Winners over the Green Dragons. And where has Harlan gone? They were such a powerful team, part of that single A odd district down in that area of Eastern Kentucky. But Harlan blanked by Pineville Friday night. And one of our pick'em games, a great single A matchup. This was played on US 23 at Raceland. We talked about it. The fire trucks would be there. Every siren in Greenup County would be there. The Raceland Worthington school system would be there in mass, wearing their orange and black. And the Rams get a 36-14 win over Fairview. Fairview had won 3 straight against Raceland heading into this one, and the Rams get the win. And they take top seed inside track right now in that single A district.
Yeah, Raceland's got that, and then, of course, again, Fairview had never beaten them 4 in a row, and that little stat stood up. And a lot of people are looking at that and saying they think they'll see a rematch of those two teams. But there's another team that's kind of in the way just down the road here in Pikeville.
Yeah.
But here's the thing, both, that win came at a price because the literal kid, one of the running backs from Whitehouse, Jim, he's done for the year. He broke his leg in a couple of places. Wow. Fairview, one of their star defensive ends got kicked off the team. He's done for the year on team violations, and both their defensive tackles are hurting out for a little while. Then you got the King kid still out with a broken collarbone. So really, Fairview's very, very beat up.
And Raceland gets that win. By the way, I got that pick right.
I was going to say, you got it.
Shelby Valley, 28-21 over Leslie County. And Jeremy Bell, you've been preaching since week 2. Finish what you start. The Wildcats did.
They did. They were down 21-20, come back and won, scored a touchdown late on an Owen Cottle option play. Good game. Good game, back and forth game. Very hard-fought game, good crowd. Leslie County surprised people. They threw the ball a lot more than I thought they would.
Right.
And because they're so young this year, and they lost a lot from last year. But Shelby Valley, their defense, they bent a little bit, but they didn't break. And they got what they wanted. This is what they've been shooting for all year, is a home playoff game. That's one of their goals. So Betsy Lane comes into their place at senior night this Friday night, and it should be a real interesting game.
Should be a dogfight indeed. And Shelby Valley, they've done exactly what they needed to do. They've put themselves in that position to where they can capture that home field advantage in the playoffs. The Wildcats 5-3, and I think some folks may be surprised by that because the youth of Shelby Valley.
Yeah, we are, and the thing about it is they could have an even better record if they would have held on to the late leads of 16 points to East Ridge,
sure,
and a 16-point lead to Paints with 4 minutes to go.
Right.
You're talking about a team 7-1 going into the game this week against Betsy Lane.
And
nobody saw that coming.
And a very young team.
A very young team. Started 8 sophomores
team
on both sides of the ball, sophomore quarterback.
Yeah.
And, good things. I mean, there's a bright future there at Shelby Valley for sure.
Absolutely. And, of course, some of the other games from around the region, I don't know how I missed it. Jackson County, your man.
My man.
28-26 over Knott Central.
I texted him Friday. I said, Russ, you going to win? He said, we're going to win. And sure enough, he did. But now there's something interesting about this game, and I need to find out more about it. But the coach told him after the game, or before the game started, that he wasn't shaking hands because it was KHSAA a violation.
Right.
And sure enough, he did not shake hands, and there was some harsh words spoken between the two. So I need to look more into that. But anyway, Jackson County, hard-fought win again. You're talking about a club that he took over that had 1 win under its belt in the last 5 years before he got there.
Still a new program.
A very new program. And now he's got 4 wins this year. I'm really proud of Russ. He's done a great job up there.
There you go. Let's look at last week's high school football scoreboard, and you can check out the Pick'em contest. You can check out the winners from last week. Do we have a winner?
Randall Clark. Yet again.
3rd time this season.
We're going to name this the Randall Clark Pick'em contest. As well as put the name on his trophy.
Appalachian Wireless may have a little issue with that, but Randall Clark, what was his score?
He only missed 2.
Missed 2.
Yeah.
We had, 15
15,
picks?
so he was
13 to 15? That's not bad. Randall Clark wins it. The Sports Guys, EKB Sports Appalachian Wireless Pick'em contest. You can play along, and you can win the $25 gift card each week we give away to our weekly winner, and you can still enter. If you haven't registered yet, simply go to WDHR.com or ESPNPikeville.com and click on the You Pick'em logo. Register once. It's good for the whole season. Make your picks, and, of course, the end of the season winner will be chosen by random drawing. So, regardless, if you haven't made your first pick yet, you could still be our end of the season winner of the Pick'em contest. And then we get ready for the Sports Guys basketball Pick'em contest. It will be a lot of fun, and it makes watching other games, the games that you typically wouldn't be interested in. Maybe you're from East Ridge, and what do you care about Jackson County, Knott Central? Well, if you're in a Pick'em contest and you've picked one of those teams, you'll want to check that score. Makes the season much more enjoyable, being able to follow all the games in our Pick'em contest.
You say that, and we were broadcasting the Shelby Valley game. There was 2 guys in the press box that's in the Pick'em contest.
Sure.
They're looking at me every time out. Bill, what's that Jackson County score?
Sure.
Or Bill, what's that Middlesboro score? And I'm having to text the station trying to find stuff out.
Absolutely.
I'm passing those scores along. They're announcing them over the intercom, but they got one eye on the game and one eye on me for sure.
Absolutely. We'll get things started. Johnson Central, a district matchup. and the Eagles go on the road to Ashland Blazer. Johnson Central undefeated, Blazer with 2 losses on the year, but undefeated in the district. Jeremy Bell.
Well, I think the powerhouse Johnson Central is going to stay undefeated as they are going to roll over Paul Blazer this year.
Well, you make that sound real easy. Going to Ashland and playing
Okay.
has not been a kind home to Johnson Central in the past. Ask anybody who's attended a game there and watched a field goal be kicked. But I will go with Johnson Central to take care of some old ghosts from the past and win up there at Putnam.
One difference with Paul Blazer is they play defense, which a lot of schools don't.
Right.
And in Putnam Stadium, it's one of those home fields you got to give them points for the game even starts.
Sure.
Really do.
I think Johnson Central wins this one, but it's going to be right down to the wire.
Usually got to be 10 to 14 points better than Ashland when you go to Putnam Stadium. They're renovating Putnam Stadium, and I think that Jim Matney's ball club is going to be focused. I think they're going to renovate Putnam Stadium, the historic site. They're going to win 3 touchdowns.
I reckon.
I came in last place last week, so I
Wow.
had nothing to lose. 3
And,
touchdowns.
Thank you for qualifying that, Joe
Yes.
Kinzer. Folks might want to just pick opposite of yours. But Ashland's such a tough place to play, and strange things happen at Putnam Stadium. We talk about home field advantage. This is more than that. It is the ghost of Blazer or whatever you may feel and believe. Some have claimed it's the officials in Northeast Kentucky that have a certain bias toward the team in maroon there in Ashland. Whatever the case is, whatever you must believe, I believe you must be 2 touchdowns better than Blazer any year. I think Johnson Central probably is. I go with the Eagles.
Hey, you know what? This is also Ashland's last regular season game. So, are they going to hold anybody out? Are they going to go for it? Or they've got 2 weeks to prepare for the playoffs too. So, I think they go gun ho with this game.
There you go.
Very tough.
Another matchup, and it is not on our Pick'em contest. Nicholas County goes to Fairview, and Fairview should win this one big in spite of being banged up. They should get the win easily at home over Nicholas County. Another Pick'em contest game. Perry Central coming off a loss to Letcher Central last week, and coming off a loss, looking to get healthy. I don't think it happens this week as Perry Central goes to Harlan County to take on the Black Bears.
Yeah, not your typical Tom Larkey team that we've seen here in the last several years, but still a very strong team. When you play at Harlan County, it's kind of like Putnam. You've got to be a 2-touchdown, spotted in Harlan County. Perry Central's had a good year this year, but they're not going to win at Harlan County Friday night.
Perry County's playing for a home playoff game. They got to win to try to have a shot at that. Very tough to go in with Harlan County 2-0 in district play. Harlan County gets the win.
Yeah, Harlan County's kind of stabilized now. Perry Central's still up and down. I'm going to take the Bears.
I thought Harlan County would have a little bit better of a year than what they've had so far. Still a very good team. Good win last week for Perry Central, the Commodores, but I'm going to go with the Harlan County in this one.
Harlan County gets the win. And also in our Pick'em contest, Pineville goes to Hazard's Daniel Field. Another place you better be 2 touchdowns better if you're going to get the upset of the home team. I don't think Pineville is in this one. Hazard wins big.
I think it's more than 3 touchdowns for Hazard. That's as good a home field advantage as there is in the state for obvious reasons, but we won't go into those. But it's going to be all Bulldogs, guys. This might even be a blowout.
Do they have clock trouble over there?
A little bit.
Okay. Just clarification from the break. Hazard in this one, even though I hope Jimmy Rose shows up and sings the national anthem.
There you go.
All right. Sounds good.
Pineville a lot better this year, but they're not that good. It's Hazard.
Hazard's won 52 of their last 58 at home, so we can go with the Bulldogs.
There you go. I think it's unanimous across the board. Another interesting matchup, East Ridge. I would imagine making their longest road trip of the year. They will travel to Jackson County to take on Jeremy's old buddies team. And Jackson County, a program looking to rise. And Jackson County coming off a win over Knott Central by 2 last week. East Ridge with a loss to Grundy. I think the road trip too much for the Warriors in this one. And at home, I've got to go with Jackson County.
Ooh. Well, Joe, you and I have been to Jackson County, and you know what kind of trip that is, and it's a little bit farther for East Ridge. And it's going to be a tough matchup. I think this is the toughest game on the Pick'em contest this week to pick. And I've kind of wavered back and forth, but I can't go against my old roommate of Georgetown. I've got to go with Jackson County at home. Now, if this was at East Ridge, I would say the Warriors, but I'm like you, a little bit of jet lag, bus lag, whatever you want to call it. But I'm going to go with Jackson County.
It's a little bit of a trip for East Ridge.
Okay, the trip might be there, but Jackson County has beaten the juggernauts of Trimble County,
Yes.
Berea, Jenkins, and Knott Central by 2.
Yes.
East Ridge wins this one by 2 touchdowns.
All right.
Jeremy keeps telling us Jackson County, and he's still in first place, so I'm going with Jackson County.
Thank you.
I'm making this game up. I got this.
Jamie Johnson picks up a game, he says.
Pick it up.
Let's see.
Coach Allen, I didn't bet on you.
What's your record? Let's see. Let's check that out. Oh, you're at the bottom. I'm sorry. It didn't come up on the first page. Go ahead, Joe.
Okay, so Bell drove us to Jackson County that 1 year.
Oh, wow.
Please go Route 80 because
Yes.
I told Bill to go Route 80, and we went a lane and a half. I don't know where we was going. I got car sick.
We went through Booneville and
Yeah.
all that back
East-
roads.
You went Mountain Parkway, didn't you?
Yes,
Oh,
yes,
man.
don't go
it
that
was
way.
bad.
East Ridge guys has only won 7 away road games in school history. I'm gonna go Jackson County in this one.
It's a tough trip for
tough
East
trip.
Ridge.
Yeah.
Those long bus trips, if you're not used to those, they can take a toll on a team. I think around the horn we're pretty much split on that one. Our next pick'em game, Harlan goes to Jenkins. 2 teams that each come in with 1 win on the year and 0-2 in the district. Harlan down this year. They take a beating from Pineville, 50-0. Jenkins at home, and I've got to go with the Cavaliers in this one, just simply home field.
I got to agree with you. I saw Harlan at Shelby Valley, and they didn't even get a first down, Andrew. And Jenkins at home, I think they're going to pull it off.
There's probably a lot of similarities between the 2 teams. I haven't seen either one.
Sure.
This is one of those times I go to score comparisons. I look at how they played common opponents. I'll go with Harlan. I don't think there's anything intimidating about playing at Jenkins in a home field.
Okay. The shadows.
Teams are too evenly matched.
The shadows of Pine Mountain. It's an
Or Pound
intimidation
Mountain,
factor.
either one.
Yeah.
A lot of green in the stands, obviously. Harlan graduated 19 seniors for a Class A school. That's major. So I'll take Jenkins at home.
All right.
Okay, I drank a lot of bad Kool-Aid last week. So looking at this, Harlan has beaten Jenkins 5 out of 6 times they've met. They beat them last year 56-0. Then the stinking genius says 19 lost seniors. I'm going with history. I'm going to go with Harlan in this one.
All right. Split pick in that one, and should be a tough call. Breathitt County goes to Knott County Central, not coming off a 2-point loss. And Breathitt County looking to get healthy on the road. Breathitt County, not your daddy's Bobcats, but still Breathitt County. And I've got to go with Breathitt in this one.
Well, Breathitt was really struggling there middle of the season. They lost 4 in a row. Now they've pulled off 3 in a row. Beat a very good and improved Morgan County team last week, and they're going to keep it rolling. They're going to win them 4 in a row after they take care of Knott Central.
Yeah, Breathitt County in the win.
Yeah, I'll take Breathitt.
Roll Breathitt.
There you go. And Magoffin County coming off a big loss to Betsy Lane. Morgan County coming off a loss to Breathitt County. And it's not the Sorghum Festival in West Liberty, but a home game nonetheless for Morgan County. And I've got to go with Morgan in this one.
I'll go with Morgan County as well.
Morgan County in this one, yeah.
I want to take Magoffin.
Morgan County's a good team, but they're too much of a one-man show for me. I'm going to go Magoffin County.
Okay. Thank you very much. I thought he was going with Morgan.
No.
Surprised me. I'm a little stunned.
Well,
See my shock face?
Well, yeah. Well, Magoffin County, they've got the Elam kid and some other weapons. Morgan County, they got a good team, but Thornsberry's their bread and butter. If you can stop Thornsberry, you can beat Morgan County.
All right. Joe Kinzer has declared. And Raceland, a team, Joe Kinzer, you were talking about, a little beat up, but coming off a win over Fairview. Is this a trap game for the Rams as they travel to Paintsville to take on the Tigers at Memorial Field? This is a dangerous game for Raceland if they go in overlooking Paintsville in this one. But I'll still stick with the Rams in this one to get the win over Paintsville.
You got to go with Raceland. I was looking at who they've gotten defeated by. Paul Blazer, they got beat by 1 point. That's amazing. Yeah. And I know this is going to be quite a long trip for them, but I think they take care of business at Paintsville. I'll go with the Rams.
Yeah, Raceland gets this game.
I think you're right. It's a trap game, and Paintsville's got a great atmosphere. Raceland wins it, but I honestly think it'll be a closer score than the Raceland-Fairview game.
Yeah, I think, talk about Paintsville, one of the most improved teams in our region this year. Jericho's done a great job, but, Raceland, they ended Fairview's 28 consecutive regular season win streak. It's going to be a competitive ball game. I don't think it's going to be a rout. I'm going to go Raceland in this one, though.
All right, and the Belfry Pirates travel to Buckley's Creek, and Belfry's closest road trip of the year. They just travel across Coburn and Bent Mountains and land at Buckley's Creek, the home of the Hawks. Pike Central will be cranked up Friday night as the Hawks looking to upset the Pirates. Belfry undefeated, ranked number 1 in 3A. Does Pike Central have a shot at the upset here, Jeremy Bell?
No, it's all Belfry.
Yeah, again, Pike Central is making strides.
They are.
And they're going to play good for a half, but Belfry just too much down there in the end of it.
Yeah, I'll go with Belfry.
Usually in the past, when Belfry has an off half like they did against Lawrence County and they play sloppy football, usually Philip Haywood and that coaching staff gets their attention the next week in practice. I'm going to go Belfry in this one. I think it's going to be close again for a half, but Belfry, just their second half club this year. Pike Central, they're still going to host the first-round playoff game.
Yeah. All right. The Pirates get the win in this one. Too much depth for Belfry. And Pike Central, while making strides, they don't have that same type of depth that Belfry does. And the Pirates get the win and secure that top seed. Allen Central, fresh off a win over South Floyd, they travel to Pikeville to look to upend the top-seeded Panthers. Nothing doing in this one. Pikeville gets the win in a big way.
Coach Mack will be proud of his kids after this one. This will be over at halftime.
But even if Allen Central drops this game, and they're probably going to, let's just be honest, they still have the outside shot of hosting the playoff game.
Right.
You say how? If they get some help from South Floyd, if South Floyd beats Phelps, Phelps is eliminated.
Yeah, we're going to get to that game still.
And then you have those two, South Floyd and Allen Central, and Phelps with identical records.
Right.
Phelps doesn't play another Kentucky game, and their only win was against Allen Central, so they don't have any other Kentucky win. Which school, the tiebreaker is which school has the most wins that you have beaten on the schedule.
Right.
How many wins do you have? Phelps doesn't have anybody else. So even if they were to beat Hurley, it wouldn't matter. They're out of state.
Sure.
So they would have to, Allen Central beat Naughton Central in the last week, even if they lose to Pikeville, and South Floyd lose to East Ridge.
Right.
So there's still something to play for, even if Allen Central comes out on the short end this week.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, Pikeville win this one.
This will be Pikeville's 47th win out of the last 48 district games.
Wow.
There you go. Leslie County goes to Prestonsburg. The Black Cats with a week off last week, and Leslie County coming off the loss to Shelby Valley. They try to get healthy at Black Cat Field in Prestonsburg. Nothing doing in my mind. It's all Prestonsburg in this one.
Prestonsburg's got that hazard syndrome, guys, when they're at home, and it doesn't help any Leslie being down this year. This is going to be Prestonsburg in a rout.
Last time Leslie came to Prestonsburg, the Eagles walked away with a district championship, if I'm not mistaken. Not going to happen this year. Prestonsburg defends its home turf at Josh Francis Field.
Yeah, like we talked about all season, Prestonsburg getting better as district comes. Played the tough guys first, and they're building momentum. They take this one.
Yeah, Prestonsburg, very difficult to beat at Josh Francis Field. This will be 47th home win out of the last 59 games for them.
Betsy Lane goes to Shelby Valley. And an interesting matchup here. The Wildcats at Tico Field, Johnson Brothers Athletic Complex, hosting Betsy Lane, a team coming in, putting up a lot of points. Most of the year, they've rattled off 7 wins. A lot of talented athletes taking on a young Shelby Valley team. Jeremy Bell.
Well, this game's got the feel of that Betsy Lane Prestonsburg game of a couple of weeks ago, and you guys talked about it. To be the man, you got to beat the man. Well, here we go again. I mean, it's similar stakes on the line. And I talked about the pass defense, turnovers, and ball possession. And Shelby Valley against Prestonsburg lost all 3 of those. Betsy Lane comes in. What do they do best? Dylan Hamilton chucks the ball down the field. Shelby Valley has a difficult time defending the pass, and I don't see it improving any this week. I might be wrong, but this is going to be Betsy Lane. They're going to pull off the win, and they're going to get the home field playoff game.
There you go.
Betsy Lane in the last couple of weeks has worked on their running game as well, because they know teams are going to work on their secondary pass defense against them, because they do have 4 or 5 options to throw the football to. Houston Hall out of the backfield has done much better. Also, Josh Murphy has had some chances, Zach Bowens, and they'll even line up maybe even Peyton Case or Lako Daniels and let those guys run from time to time just to throw defenses off. If they continue to improve their running game, they're going to be very tough to handle over the next few weeks. Betsy Lane gets this, I think, just athlete-athlete matchup. Betsy Lane gets this game by 2 touchdowns.
There you go.
You know, Andrew, we're getting down to championship time, district playoffs, whatever. All these fancy offenses, it still comes down to who can run the ball and who plays defense. And Betsy Lane, like you said, only gave up, I think, 2 games they've had teams score more than 10 points on them, or 14 points. And with the pass defense thing, I think Betsy Lane takes this one.
This potentially could be another huge game for quarterback Dylan Hamilton. Shelby Valley Betsy Lane's averaging 40 points per game against Shelby Valley the last couple of years. I'm going to go with Betsy Lane in this one.
Betsy Lane gets the win there. In other action, it is who else but Middlesboro at Somerset. They have beaten up on each other in that district all season long. Jeremy Bell.
I don't know. I mean, the fan pick is 50%. I'm sure that's what the panel's going to be like that too. I guess I guess the Bunny Rabbits at home. I don't
got
know.
Middlesboro selected on your tablet.
Well, then that could change Friday at 7:15.
He is such a sandbag.
At 7:14, it might change. But the Bunny Rabbits at home, I'll go with them. Just because I like those people. I went there last year for a playoff game, and they had a buffet spread in the press box. So
they take good care of you.
They take great care of you.
But that doesn't put points on the board.
Well, it does. They put points in my belly, so I'll go with the Bunny Rabbits.
Well, just again for clarification, he has Middlesboro picked on his tablet. If we could get I wish we could get a shot on TV. Yeah. And he said Somerset with his mouth. All right.
Can't be wrong.
Just look here. You see mine? I got Somerset. I'm not changing it.
It's typical Jeremy Bell.
It is. Yeah.
He says one thing and does another.
Yeah. But that's why he's leading the pack. He throws you off. Yeah. I'm going to pick Somerset in the game just based on tradition. And you know, Somerset's played a tough schedule.
They have.
The entire year. Mm-hmm. And Middlesboro's played some good football too.
Sure.
The Pitt, is his name Pitts? Runs the ball exceptionally well from Middlesboro. But Somerset at home gets the win.
This is a great matchup. I mean, honestly, you can flip a quarter on it. I want to take Middlesboro in an upset.
All right, Somerset's won 41 out of their last 46 district games. They're 2-0 against Middlesboro the last couple of times out. I'm going to go the Bunny Rabbits in this one.
And you called it an upset. I mean, record-wise, Middlesboro's in the driver's seat. They're 2-0 in district play.
Yeah, being a road team, though, that's at Somerset.
Middlesboro and Danville beat up on each other.
Right.
They'll feed them nice. They'll beat them and feed them nice after the game.
Yeah. Somerset plays on a natural surface.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. It's going to rain Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday.
And the fire truck will be out
there. and the Somerset Fire Department will be out, making sure that nothing dries before Friday night.
Can't let that Bermuda grass go brown.
Oh no, it has to stay green through the playoffs. It's not going to happen. Wow,
it's a tough one.
Somerset.
There you go.
I'm taking Somerset.
There you go.
And I actually picked that on my phone as well.
Oh.
I actually voted the same way I spoke.
Well, that's funny. My tablet changed. My tablet just changed. Look at there.
He just checked the weather forecast. Letcher Central goes to Whitley County. I've got all Cougars in this one.
Oh, Cougars in a romp.
Letcher Central with the win.
Yep, Letcher Central.
How many games Letcher Central won?
Doesn't matter. Make your pick. If you haven't researched yet, it's too late.
Letcher Central.
All right.
I said they'd go 6-4 before the season started. Are they close?
All right. We'll do a little research on that and check on that one for you since you didn't have time to do it yourself. Let's turn to college football, and we'll talk about the Cats traveling to Have I missed a pick?
You got a tiebreaker pick.
Oh, yeah. We'll get to that.
Oh, you're saving
the
that one?
tiebreaker's last, baby.
Okay.
It's last.
Okay.
Let's swing over to college football. UK at Mississippi State. It's a Thursday night game and a 7:30 kickoff for the Cats. Of course, coverage on WDHR at 6. Jeremy Bell.
Every time these teams play each other in any sport, I sit there and think to myself, I played at both of these schools, so I really don't have an alma mater. But when it comes to football, Georgetown, they're pretty strong, and that kind of started with my freshman class there, and it's kind of continued on. So
let's.
I know I'm mad here. I'll go with the Tigers.
Let's back up and pick UK Mississippi State.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I thought we was going Pikeville and Georgetown.
UK at Mississippi State. Thursday night, 7:30 kickoff for those that are paying attention.
Well, I played for sorry.
He's going to change his mind.
That's what I was thinking. I'm like, wow.
Let's go. It's a 2-hour show.
Mississippi State.
Thank you.
Sorry.
Don't let your head get in the way of your heart. No, I got that backwards. Mississippi State with the win.
Don't let your heart get in the way.
He got me all confused.
Yeah.
Okay,
He's picking games 3 weeks down the road.
I'll go with UK in an upset.
What?
Wow, what are you smoking?
Hey, they got to get one. This is it.
The genius
Yep.
just picked UK over Mississippi State. Joe?
Well, didn't I say that?
Return to sanity.
Yes, didn't I say that Stoops was a home run hire?
You called him a home run hire.
All right. It's going to be a home run hire before the 5 years is over with. You got to pick them to win sometime. I'm drinking a lot of Kool-Aid.
A win over Mississippi State still won't make him a home run hire.
Ole Miss beat LSU over the weekend without 7 starters on
Vandy
defense.
beat Georgia.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to go.
Miracles happen every weekend in the SEC.
And the miracle's going to happen
They don't happen on Thursdays.
No.
Kentucky.
Mississippi State gets the win. And finally, for Jeremy Bell, we'll step to the Mid-South Conference. Georgetown, ranked number 11 last week, looked to fall in the polls this week after falling to Cumberland's, and they will host the University of Pikeville Bears. Georgetown hosting Pikeville.
You already heard my banter,
I heard
so that's Tigers. Go ahead.
Georgetown.
Yeah, I'll go Georgetown.
They're pretty upset after last week's loss, Georgetown.
Yeah. The Tigers still a much deeper program, much more experienced program. They have too many fifth-year seniors, guys that have redshirted. UPike not quite there yet. Building depth, a more experienced team than we saw in Dudley Hilton's first year of now his third year, but not quite there yet to compete with a team that started the season in the top 10 nationally and always there, competitive, looking for a playoff run. I think the Bears come up short in this one. Georgetown gets the win. And finally, our final pick in the Pick'em contest, we go back to high school football, and it's a game that's been talked about tonight with playoff implications, possible three-way ties. Who gets the home field in Single A District 8? Phelps goes to South Floyd, and it is also the tiebreaker game. Guys need a score.
I mean, you're looking at both teams that like to play similar styles, both like to run the football, play run defense. This game's at South Floyd. I'll go Raiders 28, Hornets 21.
Just a piece of housekeeping. If you've already made your pick while you're listening, refresh your browser. We didn't have McGoffin and Morgan on the screen, but it is there now. Okay. So just a disclaimer, refresh your screen and lock it in. I know a lot of people make them while we're talking, so because we've already got a pick submitted. South Floyd 38, Phelps 24. Like I said, there's nothing that separates those three teams very much at all.
Yeah.
And I'll just go with South Floyd, just a little bit of heart showing up on their last game at home.
And playing at home.
Yeah,
Jim?
I'll take South Floyd 28-22.
28-22. Low-scoring game.
I'm going to go Phelps 40-38.
40-38, Hornets by 2. Rain in the forecast for 3 games. South Floyd, it's a natural surface. And South Floyd playing at home, they get the win in this one. A little more high scoring, 35-33. 2-point game, turnover can swing it either way. Yep. South Floyd with the win. And Marty Casey, I'm looking forward to a text from you before Friday night's game. Marty predicted the last Phelps win. I'm looking forward to Marty Casey's text. He'll let me know who he thinks will win, and that will be how I will pick.
I hope that Marty also predicts whether or not the lights will stay on, because the last time that we did a broadcast up there between these two schools, Tommy and I, the lights went out for 25 minutes. It could happen. It happened on a scoring play.
Yes.
A would-be scoring play for Phelps in that game.
Yes.
Anything can happen. I wouldn't miss this game.
And Hi-Hat, it is dark when the lights go out.
Yes, it is.
Yes, it is. Of course, our coverage on Z1075 and WDHR Belfry at Pike Central Friday night. Betsy Lane goes to Shelby Valley. You'll hear it on Classic Rock 103. The Oldies Radio Network features Allen Central at Pikeville. WXCC, the Tri-States Coal Country, Logan at Mingo Central, and on the ESPN Radio 95.9, 104.5, 102.5 FM, Phelps at South Floyd. Complete coverage on the stations of East Kentucky Broadcasting will begin at 6:45 with football Friday night, and you don't want to miss it. We're winding things down, but also want to remind you, of course, high school soccer regional tournament action is underway. As we're on tonight, Johnson Central meeting Belfry and boys 15th region play, and it takes place at the Bob Amos Soccer Complex. And coming up tonight, Paintsville and Pikeville should be underway now. District volleyball tournament action getting started across the region. The 58th being played at Prestonsburg, the 59th at Pikeville, and we've talked about it all year, guys, how balanced the 15th region is in volleyball. There are truly 8 teams that could win that tournament if someone gets on a little run. Should be a tremendous regional tournament. You'll find out who will be in the regional tournament this week in the districts, and we'll keep you updated every morning on the stations of East Kentucky Broadcasting. Jeremy Bell, he is the biggest sandbagger in Shelby Creek. He makes one pick and marks another on his pick'em contest with closing comments.
Actually, I changed the pick while you were talking.
I know you did.
Of course, I did a little taping. You have a DVR box now. That's the luxury of having technology. And of course, I was calling the football game Friday night, and when I got home, I immediately went to the DVR box and watched the Big Blue Madness. I guess what you'd call it a festivity, whatever it is. They spent $400,000 on it, over $400,000. But I'll tell you what, guys, this is going to be an incredible, incredible year for basketball. And I'm not saying they're going 40-0, but I'd say 1 or 2 losses on the schedule will be about all this club has. They are the biggest, longest team I've ever seen in college basketball. I mean, the shortest guy is 6'5". That's their point guard, one of the Harrison twins. And we'll be talking about it. I know it's a little early to be talking about this, but watching what I saw, and I know it was just a glorified practice, but you could just tell their athletic ability by some of the moves and they can shoot from the perimeter. This team really has no weaknesses, and it's going to be a real exciting season here in the
if I were another college basketball team anywhere in the country, I would just forfeit because UK's already been declared the saviors of college basketball this year. They will walk on water. They're that talented.
Well,
you've drunk the Kool-Aid.
Well, I have.
And they may very well be. They haven't played a game. They have not played a game, folks, and they've been declared. Some have said undefeated. Some have said national title number 9. Folks, they haven't played a game. How many freshmen are there?
7,
yeah.
6.
Plenty.
You're banking on 7, 8 freshmen? Really? Not me. I want to see them play a few. Jamie Johnson.
Forbes magazine has named its list of the most disliked players in the NFL for 2013.
The NFL. Okay.
The NFL. You ready? Some of the names on the list: Ben Roethlisberger, Mark Sanchez, Jay Cutler, Reggie Bush, Ndamukong Suh. Manti Te'o made this list. He was number 2.
Really?
Number 1.
You know who voted him on that list?
All his ex-girlfriends.
His fake ex-girlfriends.
Yeah. Who do you think's number 1?
Tom Brady.
No, he's on the list, but not number 1.
Okay. Don't know.
Give us Michael
team.
Vick.
Really? Most hated?
Michael Vick is still.
How? How is that possible?
It says right here, the scars of dogfighting and everything else. And then he goes on to say 1,100 people did this, ages 13 and above, a whopping 53%. Many who categorized themselves as the casual fan took disdain for Michael Vick. Let the guy did his time and let him live his life.
He's been a model citizen since his release.
Yes.
And has spoken on behalf of anti-cruelty organizations, the ASPCA, humane societies.
Yeah.
He has served his time, and he has spoken for the cause. I think he understands. You have to remember, Michael Vick was raised in that culture, that it was okay. And now that he understands that it's not, I truly think, leave the guy alone. So casual fans voting for that, I think that's part of the reason.
Exactly.
Casual fans. Thanks so much. Jim Williamson?
I know we've already talked about it Friday night, Allen Central and Pikeville, senior night for Pikeville, but also the 1988 state championship team's going to be brought back. Have a little festivity at halftime and some gifts and things like that, free dinner for them and their families. Just want everybody to come out. If you got nothing to do on Friday night, come out and help celebrate this team.
It's also a get-together of several teams.
Yes.
In the course of Pikeville football history, some of the greatest teams in recent Pikeville history coming together this weekend. So it should be a big weekend at Howard Field. Joe Kinzer.
I wish it was Friday night, 7:30 right now, because one of the games you mentioned, the Mingo Central Miners, the Logan Wildcats.
Yes.
Imagine between 4,000 to 5,000 fans up on Miner Mountain. It's going to be cool and windy. Major playoff implications on the line. In Class AA, the Miners are projected to be number 13 tomorrow night. Remember, you got to be in the top 16 to make it.
Rankings don't come out until
tomorrow, but they're projected to be 13th. Right. Mingo's, here's how it breaks down as of right now in layman's and English terms. If Mingo Central wins out and is 8-2 and gets some help, they can host a first-round playoff game.
Joe, 2 weeks remaining, right?
Three.
Let's wait until we see what happens Friday night before we start making those projections.
But this is going to be
a big game. Logan and Mingo Central. They got to take care of business this Friday night, and whoever does will be in the driver's seat.
Well, and in Class AAA, Logan 5-2, they got to win because Logan has got to get to 7-3 to even have a chance to make the playoffs. But also Yogi Kinder's 1993 Mate 1 High School Class Single A state champions will be in town this Friday as well for a reunion.
Nice. At Miner Mountain. And what a beautiful facility at Buck Harless Stadium, home of the Mingo Central Miners, as they take on Logan. You'll hear it on the Tri-States Coal Country. That's going to do it for the sports guys, and we will have complete coverage beginning Friday night, 6:45, of course, high school football. And be sure and tune in each Monday through Friday, 5 p.m., ESPN Radio, 95.9, 104.5, 102.5 FM. Whatever's going on in the world of sports that day. District, region soccer tournament, district volleyball tournament, high school football, the NFL, Major League Baseball, all of those topics will be discussed. We'll have special guests. The Sports Guys Daily, Monday through Friday on ESPN Radio. For Frosty Davis, Joe Kinzer, Jim Williamson, Jamie Johnson, Jeremy Bell, loving on the Chris Sabo. I'm Andrew Joyce. Good evening, everyone.